I believe in the importance of exercise. I like exercising, or at least I like having exercised.
How about a little camera shake? I know there are people that like doing this. I don't.
I do normally cardio stuff, but I've been having trouble with my back and leg in 2025. And if you've known me in the past few months, you've probably heard me complain about that because it has limited me quite a bit. It seems that I'm going to have to do some strength training as well. And, well, that might be obvious to all of you because you might be thinking, yeah, he's a real wimp. Well, our intellect also responds to exercise. It's a law that I learned a while ago, and if you don't ever do anything hard for your mind, then you might just always remain an intellectual wimp. And so it's important at times to push ourselves intellectually with hard books. Hey everybody, welcome to the Sanctus Forum. I am Michael Stewart Robb, better known as Mike. I have been doing a lot of writing, no video last week because I was writing a book on God, and it's been time consuming, or at least I have been giving quite a bit of my time to it. I have had some time to read, and I have spent 2 months reading just one book, not only just one book, but it's taken me 2 months to finish a book that's not even all that long. It is Descent into Hell by Charles Williams, and last night I read the last page, so done. Good for me. Charles Williams has really challenged me quite a bit. It has been a hard book for me, and I almost gave up a number of times. If you don't know who Charles Williams is, he was friends with C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien and Owen Barfield. They and others made up the so-called Inklings, who met at C.S. Lewis's office, and they read their books to each other, or chapters, drafts, and then they discussed them at other times of the week. And Charles Williams was in that group, lesser known than Lewis and Tolkien, obviously. And this was supposed to be his best book. Probably it is. I don't know. I haven't read any of the other ones, but I thought, well, I should read him too. I've read Lewis. I've read Tolkien. A tough books. It is pretty poetic, lots of description, lots of just pauses in which Williams wants to talk about what's happening not only in the physical world but in the supernatural world. There is a very good essay on Charles Williams that I read, written by C.S. Lewis. You can find it online. It's the preface to Essays Presented to Charles Williams, and there Lewis talks about his relationship to Charles Williams, and it's a really good picture of who the man is if you're interested. It's only a few pages, maybe 5 pages or something like that. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about reading hard books, why that's important, and also how to do it. And I think this is something that we can tend to avoid as readers because, well, it's hard. And if you're just kind of getting started as a reader, you may be pushed along by ambition, and that's good. You know, you want to read and be known to have read these major books, these important books, or whatever. But sometimes we just need to read books because they're good for us, and the hard books, the ones that really are above our level, can be, well, they'll have their place. They have their place. So first of all, the importance, if you only read books in your comfort zone, then you will never become a strong reader, and your ability to experience or grasp the beauty and the arguments that you will need for your life will be limited. You see, there is better stuff out there. There are books that you should read that are important for you that you aren't quite capable of reading yet. And if you stay at the level of reading that you had in secondary school, high school, gymnasium, whatever your secondary school is called, then you will not be able to read those books that you need to read because they're important for you, for your experience of beauty, of arguments, and whatever. Now, how to read these books? I think the first thing that I would say, and this is something that I had to do when I'm reading this, is don't feel like you have to understand everything. Don't feel like you have to get it, that all of the references and all the words that this person mentions, you have to get it, or otherwise you're not going to be able to finish the book. You'll be able to finish the book with 80% or 90%, I don't know, those are just made up numbers, but you'll be able to get to the end of it and you'll still be able to get most of what the author is trying to say, even if you don't understand it all. So don't feel like you have to get it all, okay? The second thing is just take it in smaller chunks. Just accept that you're not going to be able to read as much in one sitting, and that you're just going to have to break up the book. And, you know, a book like this, which is a novel, you think, oh, well, I can just read it straight through. But in this case, and with certain novels, you're just not going to be able to do that. You're going to have to read it in segments because otherwise it will just be too taxing for your mind. Another thing is you just do it. You're going to have to use that discipline that you have and just say, well, I'm just going to read, and all the things that are necessary to do hard things are going to have to come into play. You're going to have to prioritize it. You're going to have to set goals and say, like one of the things that I did with this book on the weekend or whatever, there's all sorts of other stuff in this room that I want to read that's easier for me to read. And I had to say, I'm going to read 2 chapters of this book. And I did. And then I could go on and I can read the other stuff that's more easy for me. And, you know, what's easy for you may not be easy for me, and what's easy for me may not be easy for you. So a lot of it depends on what you're used to reading. Now, I'm not used to reading this kind of thing, so it was harder for me. Now, maybe a philosophy or a theology thing, I might be able to get through a whole lot easier. So what counts as hard is going to be different for different people. And nevertheless, you're going to have your books that you know, I can do that, that's written at my level. And then you're going to have to always have something, maybe certainly not reading it all the time, but something that really pushes you. Because one thing that I know is that now, having read this, and I can say it is actually good. I didn't get all of it, but I got a lot of it, and I thought, you know, I benefited from this. The things that he was doing in this with the supernatural and all that, that's typical Charles Williams stuff. But I will be able to now read other things that perhaps were not so difficult for me, but I'll be able to read them with a lot greater appreciation because this strengthened my intellectual, my aesthetic muscles, and now I can go to that other stuff with a whole lot more power. Yeah. Now, here's the last thing I want to say. It's okay to admit defeat. It's okay if a book beats you. There are books in this room that have beat me. One of the things in our family, George Eliot's Middlemarch, I think I tried 3 times to read that book, and it just beat me. It just beat me 3 times. I gave it to my wife. She finished it this year. This year. She's better at reading that kind of stuff than I am. But it's okay if things beat you. You might be able to recognize, okay, I'm not quite ready for this book yet, but I'll put it on my shelf and maybe I will be later. And this one almost beat me, but in the end, I got through it. I didn't get it all, but I got enough of it to say, okay, that was a good one and helped me. Well, that is my encouragement to you, to find books that are going to be a challenge for you. Don't just read in your comfort zone, because this is going to help you become a better reader and a better person. And I guess we'll just have to talk more about that next week. Bye.